friends, welcome back. We're hanging out in my son's little playroom corner today because it's got good natural light, which is nice for filming, but sometimes not nice for filming because then like the sun comes out, it gets really bright, and then the sun goes away and it gets really cloudy. See? Case in point. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Also, literally every time I ever wear this shirt, somebody always comments that it looks like I'm not wearing anything. I'm wearing things. I promise. If you're new here, hi, my name is Callie Bransford. Welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Something you might not know about me is that I am a mother of a 1-year-old, almost a 2-year-old. It goes fast, guys. And I'm also pregnant. I'm expecting my second in January. So I've been getting lots of requests for different pregnancy and new baby content, and I would say the number one request I get is all about what I plan to do differently with baby number 2. In general, I would say my list is not super specific because if I learned anything with baby number 1, it's that you can't like really plan a ton with children. It's actually better to have like some goals and some aspirations. But if you over plan, you may end up getting disappointed if things don't go exactly how you thought they were going to. So I'm definitely not making myself a super specific list of things that I hope to do with baby 2. It's just things that I plan to do a little bit differently. And again, plan being the very important word because these are things I plan to do. Does not mean it will actually happen because once the baby is here, things could change. Alright, let's jump right in. The first thing that I'm doing differently with baby number 2 is creating a more prepared postpartum wardrobe. I was so unprepared for dressing my postpartum body, like so unprepared. I think the only tip that I got from someone was like, don't worry, you'll just be able to wear your maternity clothes for a few months after the baby comes. And so I was like, cool, I'll just do that. But I don't know, when the bump was gone, none of my maternity clothes felt comfortable anymore. And I think it's important to have just like a really easy, super comfortable grab and go wardrobe for when the baby is born, because I mean, you're spending a lot of time at home, but it's just nice to like not have to think about it, to have a few things that you can literally just grab and throw on if you have to go to a doctor's appointment, somebody's coming by to see the baby. It's just like something you don't want to have to think about. You don't have to think like, can I wear this postpartum? Can I nurse in this? You just want it to be simple and easy. I've actually already gone through my wardrobe. I've cleared out everything that I cannot wear maternity or for the first 3 months postpartum, just to make it really easy so that especially when the baby is first here, like I'm not opening my drawers and looking at clothes I can't wear. Okay, number 2 is probably a big one, and it's something that like I plan to do and I really hope that I'll be able to do, and that is to give myself more grace when it comes to breastfeeding. With my first, I was in the same boat as a lot of new moms. It's like I planned to breastfeed and I really hoped that I could, but I knew that like sometimes you couldn't. But besides that, like I didn't totally grasp the weight of how challenging breastfeeding can be for some children. Some babies it just comes super naturally. And I will link a blog post down below all about my breastfeeding journey with my first, but to give you the short version, he did not properly breastfeed for probably like the first week. I ended up in the hospital being told I had to supplement him with something, whether it was formula or donor milk. Like it was a decision I was totally unprepared to make like in the first 24 hours of his life. And I was just really unprepared for it. And then I went through 3 months of working with a lactation consultant for the first 10 weeks of his life. I was breastfeeding him. I was pumping after every feed to give him that supplemented breast milk, and then I was feeding him formula as well. It was a lot. It was a lot emotionally because I felt like every single day felt like I wasn't going to be able to do it, and I had this so strong urge to be able to exclusively breastfeed. Like that felt like the epitome of motherhood to me. It felt like it was the most important and best thing that I could do for my child. Like I just put a lot of pressure on myself to do that. And I know with baby number 2, what I did with my first child will not be sustainable. With my son, eventually what we ended up doing, probably like 6 to 8 months, was just going back to this sort of hybrid where I breastfed him some and I supplemented him some, and that was like the best and happiest time for me because I took all the pressure of breastfeeding off of me, like this pressure of not being able to produce enough milk and not being able to feed him and is he hungry still. And I hope that if I'm in a similar situation with the second baby, I will be able to get to a grace period like that sooner if I'm in a similar situation. Okay, thing number 3 is another kind of postpartum thought, and it is to spend a lot more time preparing my own bedroom than I do preparing the nursery, because we spend a ton more time with our newborn in our bedrooms than we do in the nursery. When my first was born, I don't think I did anything in our bedroom. I mean, I sat at the bassinet and I think that that was it. So I'm probably gonna have a little changing station in the bedroom. I'm gonna definitely have a diaper caddy, and then I'm gonna have like a little middle of the night basket for the stuff you need in the middle of the night with babies, and then probably just like a little basket and or drawer for just postpartum stuff that I'm gonna need in those first few weeks postpartum. So definitely going to spend a little bit more energy being intentional about preparing my bedroom versus the nursery. Number 4 is my husband and I are opting to do a longer paternity leave. My husband, I think, got like 3 weeks of paternity leave with our first, and we opted to take 1 week of it, and then we saved the other 2 weeks to use like a couple weeks down the road when his parents came to visit. But definitely not going to be doing that with the second baby. We're gonna like use up the paternity leave right at the beginning because time flies when there's a newborn around. That first week was just a complete blur. I mean, I think we all know that the newborn phase is a lot for moms. Obviously, like we just gave birth, and we're going through the whole postpartum recovery, and it is a lot. And usually just in general, we're providing a little bit more care, especially if we're nursing. Like we're the ones up in the middle of the night because we're the only ones who can feed the baby. But it's at the same time, like it's a lot on dads too. Most dads are up with the moms in the beginning. Dads went through the hospital experience. They didn't give birth, but like they went through the craziness of the hospital. They went through the process of like bringing a whole new baby into their house and trying to adjust to this like new life with this new human. And so it's a lot on dads too. Okay, the 5th thing, I think we're on to 5 or maybe 6, is that I am going to plan to do some freezer meals this time around, which I did not do with my first. And honestly, not prepping freezer meals with my first was totally fine, but I just know this time around, like I'm gonna need a little bit more routine because I'm gonna be having a newborn and trying to keep routine for my toddler. So I'm going to plan to freezer prep some meals for my toddler so that he has like some of his favorites that are just easy to grab and go, so I can make dinners and lunches and not be like having to worry about that. And then I'll probably make some freezer meals for my husband and I. Like I said, I didn't do that the first time around, but I think it'll better prepare us just to like get back into routine a little bit quicker. And then I'm also gonna prep myself some postpartum snacks because I find that postpartum, like in general, I'm a big snacker during the day instead of like set meals, and then I typically have dinner. And so I was just eating a lot of like boxed granola bars and stuff, which is fine, but I'm gonna try to just prep some healthy postpartum stuff that I can pop in the freezer that'll just be easy for me to grab and eat. Okay, and then the final thing is not actually something I necessarily am planning to do. It's just something I kind of have already been doing. And then I found with this second pregnancy, I've just overall been like eating a healthier pregnancy diet. If that makes sense. Like my first, I didn't necessarily eat unhealthy. I actually ate pretty well with him, but I feel like with my first, I knew really well what not to eat. Obviously, you always know what you're not supposed to eat when you're pregnant, but I feel like I wasn't super educated on like the best things to eat when I was pregnant. I also found myself like I snacked a ton. I felt like I was always hungry. And so I felt like I was just eating all the time, and I had a hard time managing knowing what was like actually hunger and what was just like snacking because I was dehydrated or I was bored or I really was like unsure. One reason I think that I've been this way is because I actually read this book in my first trimester. It's called Real Food for Pregnancy, and this was such a good book just about literally like the science behind prenatal nutrition. So she really breaks down what foods are really good for you and why they're good for you, what foods are maybe not good and why they aren't good, and then how to combine foods to make like really good meals and snacks, if that makes sense. She also talks a little bit about like intuitive eating, which is something that I do when I'm not pregnant. I'm actually really good about intuitive eating when I'm not pregnant, which is about just like knowing your body's own cues, eating when you're hungry, stopping when you're not hungry anymore, not eating if you're not hungry. But I find with my first pregnancy, I found intuitive eating harder because you sort of are like, well, maybe I'm hungry, and like you don't want to be hungry and not give the baby food if the baby is hungry. And so it was like this weird balance. So I feel like I've got a slightly better control on it this time so far. We'll see what happens. You know, it could go anywhere. Another thing that I've been doing with the second pregnancy that I think has helped a lot is just drink so much more water. I was really bad about water with my first pregnancy. And I find that actually lots of times when I think that I feel hungry or I think I need a snack, or I'm like getting a headache or I'm feeling run down. It's literally just that I'm dehydrated and I need more water. When you're pregnant, you need more water just in general, which sucks because then you're peeing all the time. It's literally very frustrating, but I find that it's worth it to pee more because I feel a lot better when I drink more water. I'm using an app called Plant Nanny, which I actually started using postpartum with Miles because I was really bad about drinking water when I was breastfeeding, and obviously drinking water when you're breastfeeding is really important. You set how many ounces of water you need to drink a day, and that's how much water you have to give your plant. And then you can like customize little cups. So like I have one for like my water bottle that I use all the time, and then I have like a little 8-ounce one in case I just drink a glass of water like from the tap. But I'm going to stop here because that is the end of my list. I'm getting out of breath. My husband is now mowing the lawn, so you know, everything's going downhill. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little different than some of my other videos, but I try to do a mom-related video at least once a month, and I have some requests for different pregnancy stuff that will be coming up. But if you are interested in like pregnancy and postpartum and baby stuff, make sure that you're following my blog and my Instagram because I always post way more there. I do a lot more blog posts and Instagram stories around that content that I do on YouTube. Like I said, on YouTube, when I do my content schedule, it's usually one mom video a month, but on my blog, I'm posting multiple posts every single month with mom-related content. So if you want that stuff, make sure you're following over there as well. But I'm going to leave you here. The lawnmower is like in my ears. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you all in my next video.